Thank you very much for being here at Talks with us today. I am Jose Figueroa. I'm the commercial manager at iDigital Studios. And today we're talking about the kind of connection that you should have, technologically speaking, with the people of your audience in order to make more businesses, in order to make better connections, and in order to have a huge engagement with the people of your target audience. I would like to let you know that we have been working on these contents in order for you to know more from the experts what it's the kind of value that you need to generate with the people that you would like to make business with. And to hear that from the experts, we believe is the most important thing that you can do. That's why we'll be having these kind of conversations. Today, we're exploring what is the kind of technological connection that you can generate in these times with the people, and I welcome you to this show. Rodolfo is the founder and president of Kudos, which is the largest independent agency in Central America. As well, he is the president and CEO of iDigital Studios. But formerly, he founded and expanded IdeaWorks International, which was one of the leading digital transformation and marketing agencies in the region for over 10 years. He is a board member for the entrepreneur organization in El Salvador. And before he became a full-time entrepreneur himself, he worked in sales and marketing positions from global technology and telecommunication companies such as Microsoft, Dell, Telefonica, and Stream Global Services. Rodolfo has delivered more than 130 workshops, keynotes, conferences, and presentations in 19 international stages, ranging from 40 to 1,000 attendants in Central and South America. Rodolfo has contributed on a recurring basis for regional publications and business magazines such as Estrategia y Negocios and El Economista, and in one of El Salvador's top 3 newspapers, La Prensa Gráfica. He also hosts the weekly technology radio show Bits and Tips in 102.9 Radio, and he is considered a source of advice for technology, digital marketing, and reputation, being often invited as a guest speaker for corporate and government events, and most recently in one of the top 3 morning interview programs in El Salvador's national television network, Frente a Frente. He believes that the digital transformation challenge starts with the change of the mindset within the core of any organization. Digital transformation becomes a way of life, a way of doing things, a way of building competitive advantages with technologies and the internet, a way of making traditional businesses become obsolete. Thank you very much, Rodolfo, for being our first guest today. I would like to know, how do you feel?
Thank you, Jose Luis. This is a great opportunity for me. I think that every time I speak about technology, I feel great.
Perfect. The first question that I have for you is, what do you think that companies are missing out if they do not step in the technological world?
We have thought of this very widely in the company. We have a classification of the different companies that, in terms of how they approach technology, and we classify them in 3. The first one, we call them exiliates. These are companies that don't think that technology is a good piece where to invest. Companies that leave out anything that has to do with changing the chip to this digital decade. Companies that think that investing in technology is too expensive. What happens with these companies? They are exiliates of this connected era. If you see, the connected era is giving a lot of opportunities to many companies, but these companies remain outside because they don't understand how important technology is for them and for their future. The second classification we have is a group of companies that we call orphans. These are companies that they have invested in technology, they know that it's important, nevertheless, they haven't changed the chip within their working environment. So people have technology and they don't use it to the extent that they should be using it. They go to digital and they use the internet like a brochure instead of using the internet as an interactive piece. And what these companies need are usually a parent, someone that could come and help them develop as children of technology to embrace what they have, to embrace the investment they have made, and actually to help them go further with the little they know and the little they have invested. So with this, we recommend having either consultants, either a group of companies that can help them do this leap. And then we have the third group. The third group, we call them inheritors or heirs. What they are is they are actually inheriting what the internet and the digital connected era is giving to every company, because they were ready. They have the technology. They have made all the efforts to change the chip within their environment, and also they have made the investment of training and putting technology in the hands of their workforce. So how do we help these companies? We actually help them grow 10x of what they have been able to grow up to now. So in your question, what are they missing? If you are not going into technology, if you're not leaping into the connected era, you're actually becoming someone that will be exiliated from all the opportunities that we have in the future and all the opportunities that are already here with us in the present.
Okay, so now talking about that specifically, I would like to ask you this. So what is the first thing as a company that has not invested anything at all in the past few years in technology that you can do in order to go on board?
So the first thing that a company has to do is to acknowledge that technology is important at the top. This is not something that should happen in the bottom or in middle management or in any other part of the company. This should happen at the top. So the leaders of the company need to understand, need to change the chip, and actually leaders of the company need to use the technology in order to have the rest of the company to comply. What happens is that I would also separate leaders in three kinds.
Okay.
So you have three different types of attitudes. So you have someone that does not want to change, and that will be very difficult for anyone in the company to move forward with anything that has to do with technology, because you have a leader that does not want to change. Then you can have a leader that wants to change but does not know how to change. So that second, if you teach him, if you give him the tools, if you give him the information, if you have someone on their side, that person will be able to lead a company little by little towards changing the chip. But he needs to be aware that he doesn't know.
Now, let me step into your exposition, and before you go into the third kind of leader, what if you are in a middle hierarchy of your company and you have one of those leaders that you're just describing right now? What would you recommend to that executive?
So it depends on the company, and as we move on in time, what happens is that management is becoming little by little not a place where you go to comply, but a place where you go to bring resources. So if an employee is in that position where you have someone that does not want to change above you, there are many ways now of involving that person, first with knowledge, and second, with a good attitude of teaching what is better to do in this new connected era. And that's where the third one comes in. Actually, so we already said that you need to be aware and understand how to change. You need to have also the attitude that you want to change. And then the third one is that you have all the tools and the environment for changing. And that's when everything starts moving and all the machinery for digital transformation starts happening in the company.
Okay, so what do you consider are the basic set of assets that a company should have online, or technological speaking, in order to take the first step?
So it depends on the nature of the company. So one of the first things that happens today when you learn of a company, either if you want to work for them or if you want to work with them, the first thing you do is you go and you look for them in our worldwide directory of things, which is Google or any other search engine. And what you do is you type in the name, and if you find information there, that will be the first impression you get of that company.
Okay,
So number one, you need to have that first impression ready and waiting for someone to look for you.
Okay, so is your suggestion then that the first focus that you as a company should have is to think where people can find me and start working from there?
Yes, and not only where people can find me, but how can I be of use so people find me in the right moment, at the right specific time when they need my services.
Okay, do you think that data analytics it's playing a big role in what you're saying right now?
Yes, I think that right now we are in the world of attracting and connecting with customers. We are not in a world where we go out and search for customers and knocking their doors. Because it's not the same to go out and knock the door of someone and say, I want to sell you something. Then when that someone comes to you, finds you in the right moment, at the right time, with the right information, and looks for you and asks you for the things that you already know that you can do.
Okay, so it's better to be looked after instead of hunting the prey.
It's better to be
Okay.
found, because when someone knocks your door, they are asking for whatever price you're trying to build with your offering.
Okay. Now, what else do they gain? I mean, the companies, what else do they gain besides more clients, more connections? What else is there in the stake for the stakeholders of the company?
So the other thing is reputation. Reputation, it's a very difficult concept. For years we have had this concept, and it's very difficult to explain, but it's very easy to sniff it and to see it.
Okay.
And in the internet, digital reputation, it means that you find the right information of the company. It means that you find this solid brand that can offer what you're looking for. So it's not only that you can be found and you can sell services, but you will be found for what you are best at, and your digital brand will enhance the way people see you, and it will make it easier for them to be your customers.
Okay. So it helps you to have better profiles then for the people that is going to consume your products, use your services. You can then learn more about them in order to get just the right fit for what they need.
Yes, remember, 96% of our perception comes through our eyes. And you can say that multiplied by 10 when you are talking about the internet or any digital device.
Okay. Now, there is something said about the fear of missing out, but what do you think? But because what you're saying to me, it's like the opposite of that interpretation. It seems like it is the fear of missing in. What would you say to people that is actually having the fear of missing in, meaning not going into the thing when there are so many different benefits that are more than, I don't know, they are so practical, you can see them, you can almost touch them, but yet there's still something that tells you maybe it's not the right thing for me. Maybe it's passed over my time.
So what I think is that technology solutions are tools. A hammer is a tool.
Okay.
So I can give you a hammer, and if you don't know what to do with it, you will probably break something. Or you will probably do something with it.
Have you seen that in many companies using technological
It
tools?
happens. It happens. They have this great tool in their hands, but they don't know what to use it for. And actually, they have the best hammer in the market. They say, "Wow, this is the best hammer in the market," but it's just a tool. You need to understand how to use it. You need to have a specific objective, and that should be your business objective on why you should use that hammer. So at the end, if you are into going to bringing technology solutions to your company, think of them as a tool that will help you get your business results. Not only because someone is going into certain platform, now everyone's talking about TikTok and everyone's talking about Instagram and let's go and do this and do that. It's not for everyone. So you're probably buying a hammer and you will probably break something with it if you don't have an objective. So my recommendation would be first have an objective that aligns with your business model. Once you have that, go out and buy whatever you need, either a hammer, a saw, or any other tool that will help you get to that business result.
Now, what if the people says, well, I don't have the time to do that. I do not have the resources. Even if it is just a couple $1,000s, I will not do it because I have to go through this very complex way of making decisions in my company. What can they do in that case?
It's very interesting. We are in an era where time stopped being what it was before. So saying that you don't have time anymore is actually a fallacy, because we have different types of time today. We have even time that remains untouched in the internet. For example, this interview that we're doing today will remain in the internet for months or years. And probably 2 years from now, someone will come in and for the first time will engage with this video. And the time is
timeless.
It's
Is that what you mean?
timeless. That's
Okay.
right. So that type of time we are able to buy, or we're able to cultivate in the internet and with the digital tools.
Wow. So you're talking about a huge potential there, because if you're saying to me right now, if I understood that correctly, if you put some content right now in order to convince a person that might not even exist right now, but then within 3 years into the future, that person might come out, take a computer, watch this video and will try to make business with us because that person will be connecting with us back.
Yeah, that person will be engaged in our conversation, and that will be a real-time conversation happening in a time lapse that we don't see today. And the other thing,
Okay.
when you tell me I don't have time for this, there are other ways of substituting time. Like, for example, I don't have time to learn. Get someone that knows. And now there are no boundaries. You can go anywhere in the world to find that person that can teach you. And if you don't have time to be taught, go and get someone that can be doing the job for you. So it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of the objective you want to meet and the attitude you have towards that objective.
Okay. Now, what about the people that say, well, might say to you, look, my business has been running fine for the past 20 years. I have had no need at all for even a computer within my administration department. And I'm still thriving in business. I am getting new customers, I'm getting new businesses, I'm expanding over different states. What can you say to that people that seems to be like not being affected by the technological change?
So I think that many
Is that an
businesses,
illusion?
no, not really. The traditional businesses are still doing business, but they're not growing as fast as the new type of businesses that take into account technology and that use new ways of marketing or new ways of doing business. So what happens to a company like that? It's like when you have a traditional product or service, you will still sell that traditional product or service until the need is filled by something different than the traditional way.
Wait, what you mean is that maybe someone will see your business, will see how old-fashioned you are, and that person might be saying, well, there's a big opportunity here. Take that business from this person. If I only can get the technology in order to overpass what that person has done over many years.
Yeah. So actually,
There's a risk then.
And what happens is that now that we're using technology and that we are seeing so many disruptions around the world, and you know what a disruption is? A disruption usually takes something out of the market and leaves it obsolete. So you see so many disruptions in different places. For example, today we can order food from our phones with an app, and that is creating a new need. The new need is not ordering things with my phone, but understanding where my things are when I'm ordering something anywhere else. So for example, now if I order a pair of shoes, I want to see where the shoes are traveling, because the same way I'm right now fulfilling a need in another area, in another industry, that same need will then become my need in another area, in another industry. And somehow, if someone picks this up, they can change the industry, or they can change the way the products and services are delivered. And the traditional way will become obsolete. And if you are a company that are accustomed of selling traditional products, you might be disrupted. And if your industry or your product is disrupted, you will become obsolete. And that's where it ends.
Well, that's a word that has described your work for many years now, right? Disruption.
Disruption.
How do you imitate disruption in the first place?
Sorry?
How do you imitate disruption in the first place?
So there are different ways of disrupting something. the best way is to look at where and how the needs are met, because the needs are still the same. We need to eat, we need to fulfill certain moral and spiritual things as a person. We need to have a roof. So those needs don't change. The way we cater to the needs are the things that change. And somehow, whenever we are fulfilling needs in new ways and in new forms, that is actually scaling up the way other products and services are being seen and also being needs being met.
Okay, so do you believe that a good way in order to get a better disruption sense would be to try to see the same things but with a different approach?
That's more like innovation.
Okay.
If you see the same things with a different approach, you innovate. But
So there's an extra ingredient there. missing
there's
out.
an extra ingredient, and the extra ingredient has to do with those new ways and new attitudes toward how we fulfill the need. So if you just fulfill the need in a different way, you're innovating. But if you fulfill the need with a new attitude, using different ways, you're actually pushing towards disruption.
Okay. Well, one of the last questions is about what are you doing right now? What's this iDigital Studios thing? What is the kind of solutions that you're offering to the people through your company?
So iDigital Studios is a company that focuses on the Hispanic consumer everywhere in the world. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to connect people to this Hispanic consumer using technology and creativity. And in the agency that we were before, we left it obsolete to become this studio where you have experts, where you have people from different backgrounds that understand deeply what they do to cater to any company or brand that needs to connect with Hispanics.
Okay. And my last question to you is, where do you think it's the point that we are as a human species between the point of having no technology at all to being fully engaged in technology in our everyday life?
So we are well in the technology life cycle. Technology life cycle is actually accelerating everything we do. This life cycle, what it does is that it gives us more capacity to make calculations. Every 18 months, we have all the capacity that we had in any device doubles. Every 18 months, or less, every year actually, all the capacity or the digital capacity to storage anything that was physical.
You mean the Moore's Law?
Moore's Law is the first one that we were talking. This one has to do with the memory. So every year memory triples, or it actually costs 3 times less. So in terms of space, in terms of electricity, we have more and more places where to put this. And then you have McAfee's law, which is when you see networks, the value of a network, actually what it does, it's exponential growth in terms of how many people go into the network. So it's not just the road, but how many people go about the road. So if you take those three and you combine them, you see that cycle of innovation actually is moving so fast that we will have everything faster. For example, what happened with COVID is that this cycle of innovation pushed us farther, and I would say about 10 years ahead before time, because the cycle of innovation had permitted us to have powerful devices, to be able to use them when our attitude changed.
Do you believe the pandemics then was the kind of gasoline that it was needed to push forward human race? Talking about technology.
I don't think that pandemics are needed anywhere in the world. Nevertheless, what happened was that the pandemic changed the minds and changed the chip for millions of people around the world that did not want to embrace technology. And now they are embracing technology thanks to what happened during the pandemic.
Okay. Did it create disruption?
Of course, the pandemic was a disruptive event in the world.
All right. And where do you see that we are going to be within 3 years?
Well, first, I would say that in 3 years, we're going to have artificial intelligence doing many things for us. And we're going to see, in 3 years, we're going to see internet almost everywhere and in all flavors and volumes of internet. We're going to see that hyper-transparency will become something important. So that means that your digital reputation will be something that we need to look at in the following 3 years. We might have also different spaces where we used to manage or take charge of certain apparatus like cars, airplanes, and boats. In 3 years, probably there will be a percentage of people that will not need to drive those cars, boats, or airplanes. And that means that we will have more time and spaces that we didn't have before. So in 3 years, we might even have also a big change on devices. Right now, we're carrying these devices in our hands. Probably in 3 years, what we'll carry is a device in our glasses or a device anywhere else. We don't know. Maybe in 3 years, we're gonna see digital displays, intelligent digital displays in different worlds. I'm sorry, in different places. And talking about different worlds, we're gonna see a lot more of the metaverse that is already being talked about throughout the internet. So there will be a chance of having you and me probably sitting down anywhere in the world, dressed up however we want in our digital worlds, sharing this in other spaces.
That would be John Lennon's dream, no?
Yeah,
No
probably.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Rodolfo, for sharing this time with us. I think that there is a lot of topics still on the table that we'll be talking about in the future. But for now, I don't know if you have some last words for us.
Yeah, thank you. What I would tell anyone is that there are 3 things you need to think about for changing now. Number 1 is you need to want to change. You need to embrace what's happening. You need to embrace technology. The second one, you need to understand what's going on around, to understand clearly how you can drive your company through all this connected era using technology and using the new ways that are happening around us. And number 3, you need to know how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, get someone that can help you to drive your company further